Hey travelers, Mag here, coming at you from Mount Suwa, above the city of Kobe. Today, the plan is simple. I'm not here for prefectures, I'm not trying to do anything complicated. There are a ton of geocaches to be found in the Kobe area. Quite a bit, as you can see from this map right here. My goal from here at the top of Mount Suwa is to walk out to the waterfront about 1.5 miles from here and find all the geocaches along the way. There are 3 virtuals in the city, and those are my must-do for the day. Beside that, it's going to be a play day, geocaching our way through the city all day long. I have from sunrise until the sun goes down to get out there and see the city of Kobe and show it to you. So let's get out there together. Come on, let's go.
Welcome to the city of Kobe, our geocaching playground for the entire day. From here at the viewpoint on the edge of Mount Suwa, you have an unbeatable view of the city. And it really is quite the city. A mere 35 kilometers west of Osaka, this city serves as the capital city of Hyogo Prefecture with a population of around 1.5 million people. It ranks in as the 7th largest city to be found anywhere in Japan.
So close, and yet so far away. The geocache is only about 10 feet from me according to the satellite imagery, but if you look at the path here on the Venus Bridge, that 10 feet can be quite a significant difference moving around one level to the next. So let's spiral our way to make the find.
Named for the Roman goddess of love and beauty, the Venus Bridge will carry you straight to the heart of the city.
Yeah, 10 feet, not usually such a bad thing, but when you're dealing with the Z-axis like that, it can be quite a bit of work. Thankfully, geocache in hand, and we're ready to get this day started off in earnest.
After successfully navigating down the Venus Bridge, the last stop on the way into the city, or the first stop when climbing the mountain, is the Suwa Shrine. It is far less intimidating to approach the Suwa Shrine from the free parking area above the Venus Bridge like I did, rather than from the bottom, because after passing through the massive torii gate, easily visible from the main road, it is a long climb up the staircase to reach the shrine. It does feel like quite the walk through history though, since this shrine was established all the way back in 1182. I could practically feel the weight of a millennium's worth of history as I toured my way through it.
So yeah, I guess the bottom line in your search for geocaches here in Kobe, it's a bottle cap. It's always a bottle cap. This is what you're looking for pretty much regardless of the GZ. There you go.
Suwa Park was not the only stop that I felt compelled to stop in and check out on my way down the mountainside. Immediately adjacent to that, you will find Suwayama Park, which has a multitude of trails zigzagging through it, up and down around this awesome playground. Even better, since I am out here visiting first thing on a weekday morning, all of the parents are either busy sleeping in or taking their older children to school, leaving me to explore this park all to myself. So it's possible I may have played on all of the equipment, but that's a secret that we'll keep between you and I.
I checked my location about 1,000 feet ago, got the turns I need to get to the ground zero, and then didn't check my GPS again, walked right up to the hide. But when you're dealing with a ground zero like this, I mean, come on, do you really need to check the GPS again for verification? Or just add your name to the log?
As I normally do, whenever my goal is just to get out into a city area and make finds, I allowed the geocaches to guide my path. And even though I've passed through Kobe on numerous occasions, I've never actually had the opportunity to stop and explore the city like this. An unexplored playground like this means that each time I turn a corner, I have a new realm of possibilities to dive into.
Now it is important to note that the majority of these finds are very parking grabby. But I say grabby because you're kind of lacking the parking spot on any of these. So while you may be able to make the quick find once you arrive at the GC, the real trick is getting there. Hence why we're doing this journey on foot rather than in car.
Hidden away just off the busy road, I climbed the spiral staircase and followed a winding path up to a hillside park known as Okama Park. While it doesn't seem like a very big park at first, only having a footprint of about 8 hectares, it's important to remember that in a big city like this, that is quite a bit of space indeed. Moreover, the pathways are lined with around 200 plum trees, making this an ideal spot to take a stroll at just about any time of day. I was enjoying the scenery so much that I followed each pathway just so that I could soak it all in.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you how many times I've detoured just to see a park like this. But not once, ever, do I feel like I've regretted the detour to be able to check it out. And once again, I sure don't.
As much as I enjoyed my stroll through Okama Park and the view that it offered into the city of Kobe, the walk through the southern portion of the park at Fountain Square was even better. This is both a significantly smaller and busier portion of the park that connects it to Okayama Station. Lining the eastern edge of the park and scattered throughout are many stone statues of women in various states of undress. Some are to be found addressing the crowds of passing people, while others might be tucked just a little further back off the main thoroughfare, quietly reading a book to themselves. But whether these statues are enjoying a bite out of the forbidden fruit or engaged in more innocent activities, one and all they are on full display for the public to enjoy.
A Munzie. Close, but no cigar. However, you can usually count on finding a geocache hidden right next to them.
A mere 5-minute walk north of Kobe Station, I discover one of the less visited shrines in Kobe that is still well worth a visit. Minatogawa Shrine was pretty easy to pick off the map, as it has a very well camouflaged geocache, garnering many favorite points hidden right at the front doors, marking its location. Established in 1872 near the battle site of Minatogawa, it is said to enshrine the spirit of a famed 14th century samurai, Masashige Kusunoki. He fought for Emperor Go-Daigo in the Genko War to overthrow the Kamakura shogunate and restore power to Japan's imperial court. He is remembered for his loyalty and virtue, quoted as saying, "Would that I had 7 lives to give for my country."
A quick dive in for the find is easy enough. Look at all the cobwebs covering this thing. Oh well. No spiders attached, that's what counts, right?
Although the straight line distance between my starting point on Mount Tsueyama and the waterfront is only about 1.5 miles, I find that it has taken me quite a while to get there as I am taking the winding course through the city. Somewhat due to the caches, and somewhat due to the fact that there's just so much here to see.
You didn't really think I'd complete a whole tour of the city without at least stopping in to find a geocache of one phone booth, right? It's mandatory on my city list by this point, as long as they exist anyway.
It may have taken me all morning to get here, but right around the time that lunch is rolling around, I can finally see the waterfront, just a little ways off in the distance. It is easy to tell that you made it when the statues all start to become figures from the cartoon show Pon Man.
Okay, who out there recognizes this character? He is a mainstay of Japanese cartoons. Pon Man has been saving the day since I was a little kid, and he continues to do so in new episodes. He is every little kid's superhero in Japan, and you can find him all over the place, including the Pon Man Museum, which we're about to pass by right now.
This entire section of the waterfront is marked by the Kobe Pon Man Children's Museum. And if you have children that are preschool age or younger, this is one of those places that you will not regret stopping in to pay a visit.
The whole of the museum caters to children around the ages of 4, celebrating the Pon Man cartoon show that released on October 3rd of 1988. Like Sesame Street in the US, you can find the characters in this show catering to the imaginations of young children, with more than 1,600 episodes still airing to this date.
If you do happen to be familiar with Pon Man, I'm curious who your favorite character is. Drop it in the comments and let me know. For me, it's Donkin-chan, because she is loyal to a fault to Biking Man, even when he's not a very good friend, and he is often not a very good friend.
As I pass beyond the Pon Man Museum, I wave goodbye to my good friend Donkin-chan. Embarking on the most difficult adventure lab I have attempted to tackle to date, the Harbor Lab Quest. Most adventure labs consist of 5 stages, which have you go to each location and answer a simple question based on what you see around you. That's already difficult enough to do on an adventure lab written entirely in Japanese when it's your second language, but it is even more difficult on an adventure lab like this. Each stage is open through a separate interactive app that has you answering questions all along the way. It took me the better part of 10 minutes to answer the first stage, and that was just a warm-up.
The classic bench hide. I always try and put my eyes on the target first before I feel around in places I can't see, because you never know when there's going to be something you don't want to put your hands on. Once I have confirmation of the geocache, it's nice to be able to just sit down, relax, blend in, and casually reach for the cache like you know what you're doing and you're supposed to be here. Alright, now let's stamp this thing and put it back. This geocache container, in its previous life held contacts, barely has enough room in it to fit this accordion style log. This is like 80% magnet and only 20% cache container. But if it gets the job done and gives me a place to add my stamp, Good enough for me.
It is at this point in the adventure that I find myself unable to complete an adventure lab. And it was certainly not for lack of effort. I was running translations and doing Google searches on one phone while I had the app open on the other, trying to solve the substages of Stage 2 step by step. For the first time ever, I had to admit to myself that an adventure lab was just too difficult for me.
And the award for the most difficult adventure lab I have attempted to date goes to the one hidden here at Harborland. And not just because the entire thing is in Japanese. No, that only ups the difficulty on what is already the most complicated adventure lab I have done. It has its own separate app that you have to go to and answer through a series of questions. The first stage was actually pretty easy. It only took me about 10 minutes to figure out. You watch the video, get the chords, go there, answer ABC. The second stage, however, had me go to several different locations and answer several questions, all through Japanese. And after somewhere about a third of a mile or so, I still hadn't actually gotten to the answer of Stage 2, and I found myself looping back and forth again. So, yeah, that one, not happening for me. Maybe with a Japanese friend, definitely not alone.
It didn't take me too long to get over the defeat though. I treated it just like I do any other DNF. Shrug it off and keep moving. Admittedly, it certainly helps that as soon as I departed Harborland, I found myself once again walking through a small park enjoying a multitude of sculptures. I guess I'm just simple in that way, because of course while I prefer to make the find when seeking out a geocache, I never forget that for me, this game is all about the places that the geocaches are trying to bring you.
The red post box just across the street behind that van had me all tripped up. This one was much closer to home than I initially gave it credit for.
When I spot the covered area filled with pedestrians, I know I found the local shopping district. I just can't resist taking a walk through it to get to Chinatown waiting for me on the other side.
Is it safe to say that China owns a little piece of real estate pretty much everywhere in the world? I think I've been to Chinatown in just about every country I've been to. Ni hao.
As you could likely guess, the Chinatown found here in Kobe, also known as Nankin-machi, is the center point of the Chinese community here in the city. It developed slowly but steadily after Chinese merchants were admitted into the port of Kobe when it opened to foreign trade in 1868. Its name of Nankin-machi is derived from Nanjing, the former Chinese capital. It serves as a melting pot and a popular tourist attraction for shopping and dining. It is also a major contrast to move out of the throngs of people there to the quiet streets near the virtual.
This is legitimately the first spot that I've been to anywhere in Japan where I feel like I might just get mugged if I head into that alleyway. Let's go check it out and see. Sure enough, it is just as shady in here as it is out there. Everything is shuttered. A lot of it's graffiti. And I'm the only one going this way. Wonder what's at the end of the corridor.
The virtual here, known as Motoko Town, only requires a picture anywhere at this section of the viaduct. There's no need to go inside exploring. And if this were literally any other country, I likely would not have. But as safe as Japan is, I couldn't resist the urge to go a little deeper.
This is just blowing my mind right now. I came specifically to this spot here because it is the spot for a virtual. You have to come here and take your photo and post it on the page with your impression of the location that you're at. I'm used to virtuals bringing you to some of the most scenic and touristy sites around the city. This is one of the first times, possibly the first time, it's ever brought me to one of the shadiest spots in the city. And I gotta say, I'm kind of liking the contrast.
As I look at the graffiti on the shuttered doors, I find myself wondering if this isn't a missed opportunity.
We've already seen the best way to turn this problem into a solution in some of the places we visit around the United States. Since people are already coming here to tag up the place anyway, they might as well put signs out there that say that this is a free public alleyway where you can come in and do your art. Maybe put a sign up that says leave art for 30 days when it's dated. And I bet you that would turn this space into a beautiful walkway where people would love to come.
Miraculously, I managed to keep my wallet on my person as I navigate my way through the viaduct and come out the other side to Hanuka Park. This is a very unique park as it has all the look and feel of being a castle ruin without actually being one. All of the stone walls here are made to look like a castle ruin, but not built in the same style as the original castle that once stood here. It does, however, provide a nice tribute to the castle that was originally established here in 1568. It had only stood for 12 years before its original owner abandoned it, and it was left to the ravages of time.
Check this one out. Not only is it an awesome container, but it even comes with a little friend there Hey little guy, you wanna hang out with me? No, I guess I'll just sign the log then. He said no.
Moving back toward the waterfront once again, I spot one of the most recognizable landmarks in the city in the distance, the Kobe Port Tower. Designed by the Nikken Seki Company, it was completed in 1963. From the top, visitors can enjoy a 360-degree view of Kobe.
A while back, I found my right contact lens. It turns out patience is all I needed to be able to go ahead and find the matching one for my left eye as well. Look at that. Got you covered.
Just beyond the Kobe Port Tower, you will find the Bayside Leisure District known as Hato Bacho. Adjacent to the sightseeing cruise terminal, this is a wide open space that offers many things to see, lots of places to shop, and the single most popular waterfront park anywhere in the city, American Park. Not to be confused with the Southern America.
Well, I may not have had any luck figuring out that adventure lab, but at least I'm still able to figure out where those geocaches are hidden. I have to give up on that thing. It is not even just watching the videos, it is straight up going through the app, answering questions, reading each page, and it keeps going for a while. I'm used to adventure labs where you show up to the stage, you answer a question, get a word, something like that. This one's complex, so I'm gonna stick to these finds and keep moving along.
The B Kobe Monument is certainly the most photographed spot found anywhere in Hanuka Park. While there are both tourists and locals alike enjoying the many facets of this park, pretty much everybody stops off to take a picture at the monument. That would of course include me, since it was the second must-do virtual target I was pursuing here in the city. Installed in 2017, it commemorates the 150th anniversary of the opening of Kobe Port, embodying the pride of the people of Kobe.
This is a historic moment. I have finally done it. I found a geocache big enough to house Snoopy. Let's give him a look at his new home. Parting is such sweet sorrow. This little guy and I have had quite the time around Japan. We got to tour through Nakatown, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, pretty much all of Kyushu, and finally here in the city of Kobe, we find a home for him to find his next friend along the way. So we're gonna go ahead and just leave him here in the geocache, and we can only hope that his next companion treats him to a good time like we have. Bye, Snoopy!
American Park is definitely the kind of place that you can easily lose a few hours without even noticing. Aside from the fact that it is saturated with geocaches, including an earth cache, a virtual, a mystery, and several traditionals, it is also home to a giant carp statue known as Fish Dance. Using a chain link mesh covered with copper sheets to resemble scales, artist Franco Giri erected this 72-foot tall Amur carp in honor of the koi found around Japan. Normally, they only grow to about 3 foot long or so, but they are known for their longevity, living for up to 50 years in many cases, with the oldest having lived over 200.
The beacon may change in the war against the micros here in Kobe, but as for the containers themselves, war never changes.
So many of the sculptures found here in the city have their own unique story to tell, like that of the Seattle Friendship Pole. Commissioned by a member of the Native American Lumi Nation in 1961, it was meticulously carved over 3 months in Seattle before it was finally completed and shipped out to Kobe. It remained on display in front of City Hall for 54 years before it was laid to rest in the Kobe Arboretum. It was recreated shortly thereafter by a Native American Puyallup tribe member out of Seattle who lovingly recreated many of the details found in the original work of art.
Sometimes the right camo job can make a relatively simple hide quite difficult. Check out how well the color on this geocache matches the color on this fence post here. In the right place, this can take quite a while to find.
In East Park, I discover a memorial to the great Honshu Awaji earthquake that struck the city of Kobe on January 17th of 1995. At 5:46 p.m., a magnitude 7.3 earthquake struck, shaking down more than 100,000 buildings. The devastation was felt everywhere, with more than 43,000 people injured and over 6,000 people killed. More than 1 million people volunteered to provide disaster relief and help clean up the city. This monument ensures that the victims will never be forgotten.
See a post box? Make a find at a post box. I really feel like I'm catching on to the rhythm here in Kobe today.
Heading north through the park puts me on a direct path towards City Hall, the location of the last virtual I am targeting here in the city today. While the signs on this end of the park are a bit more subtle, there are still reminders all around us of the great Honshu earthquake of 1995. The most poignant of these is a golden statue of a woman holding a clock damaged in the earthquake. It was at that moment that the entire marina collapsed, and this clock will forever capture the moment at 5:45 p.m. when the city of Kobe was thrown into disaster.
And now comes the virtual I was most excited about for today. To complete it, you have to go up to the 24th floor observation deck of this tower and take a photo out over the city. That is exactly the kind of virtual I am all in for, and I bet you the view up there is going to be amazing. Let's go look.
Interestingly enough, the entrance to City Hall leading up to this virtual is also known as the birthplace of the marathon here in Japan. It was from this spot on the 21st of March, 1909, where runners gathered to take on the first ever marathon in the country.
There's no mistaking this place. Right inside the front door, 24th floor observation deck. I know I'm in the right spot and ready for a ride straight up to the top. Going up, I have a feeling this is going to be one of those very fast elevator rides that gets the ear pressure going. See how fast these floors count. No, we're not even going past floors 3 through 13. We're just skipping past those altogether. Oh, yep. That ear pressure is going. You can see the count on the side here. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. All right, here we go. View of the city awaiting us just on the other side.
The phrase "Be Kobe" was created 20 years after the great Honshu earthquake. It serves as a civil pride message, gathering together all of the ideas from its citizens as to what makes Kobe such a great place to live. And today, exploring its streets, seeing its sights, and feeling its heartbeat, I am starting to gain an understanding of what it means to be Kobe.
All right, that's going to do it for our adventure geocaching around the city of Kobe today. I began the morning atop Mount Suwa at the Venus Bridge and began working my way from one geocache to the next all throughout the day until we reached the waterfront. We managed to find a ton of geocaches and the virtuals I was targeting, but there are still a lot more caches to be found around Kobe, so perhaps I have an adventure coming up in the future to return to the city. But as the daylight dictates, that's going to be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour around the city as much as I enjoyed taking you along with me. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, stay tuned for updates, and I'll see you out on the trails.